Now, go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
I don't want to abolish government. I simply want to reduce it to the size where I could drag it into the bathroom and drown in the bathtub.
You bet I cut the taxes at the top.
How dare you? How dare you? Go ahead, make my day.
The Rick Smith Show starts now.
This town gonna be here long after I'm gone. East side, west side, people don't surrender. They've been down, but they still rock on. Oh, and this time is my time. All right, love or hate, it don't matter. I'm gonna stand and fight. This time is my time. She got her ups and downs, but love or hate, it don't matter. 'Cause this is my time.
And welcome, brothers, sisters, working class heroes. This is the Rick Smith Show. Thanks for being here today on the program. Lots of things to get to, lots to talk about. A weekend of, well, working people coming together. AFSCME had their big convention over the weekend. We spent some time there with the good folks at AFSCME. Going to talk to a couple of those folks today. Also today, the Teamsters, the Pennsylvania Conference of Teamsters, having their shindig here in the area. So we spent some time out talking to folks there. And one of the things I like about going to these conferences and these conventions is you get a sense of what they see, what each of these groups sees politically as what is important, what their values are, where they're looking to lead their organizations. And, to me, it's kind of telling of where the battles are. And to be honest, right in line with where we've been talking about here on the program. As you look at the right-wing attacks on prevailing wage, you look at the right-wing attacks on the paycheck destruction, the whole no rights at work agenda that we've been talking about. And they're I don't want to say they're starting to see it, but I think it's really now sunk in that this is really an all-out war, that you have a political party in this country that is hell-bent on destroying their right to exist. And, that's new to American culture right now. That's new to post-World War II America. I go back to the Dwight Eisenhower letter to his brother Edgar, who said anyone who would come out against the Farm Bill and unemployment and Social Security and all of those things that I think for too long we've taken for granted. He said anyone who would come out against that stuff, and this is back in his day, their numbers were negligible and they are stupid. And again, I go back to this, it seems stupid is running the country. And for what purpose? What cause? Well, it's to line their pockets at the expense of the rest of us. And as I had the opportunity to talk to, literally hundreds of people who came by, and, it's really weird though. You do this kind of program and you go, hey, come on, sit down. Tell me what it is you do. What's important to you. No, I can't do it, but I love what you do. You keep doing it. And, this is one of those things, those moments about union people that I'm struggling with. It's time to start tooting the horn. It's time to start telling the stories again, because I think we've forgotten. And I tell my story quite often because, as a kid, I grew up in a housing project on the west side of Cleveland. I was a poor kid. We didn't have really anything. In fact, we were on that ground where they put the socioeconomic ladder. And because of hard work, because of we the people, because of things that we as a society did to help me and others like me, I now live a reasonable life. And to me, I guess I'm one of the rare people who say, we shouldn't kick the ladder out so no one can follow up behind me. I say make the ladder bigger, let more people climb up. Which maybe is just antithetical to the American thought process today. But I, over the weekend and today, spent a lot of time with people who believe that. that we should be expanding opportunities, expanding people's right to a better life, and actually using our government and our unions as a tool to do those things. Now, the right wing will tell you, well, you just pull yourself up by your bootstraps and the heck with anybody else. And that's really what they're telling you. I mean, this isn't rocket science. It doesn't take a genius to figure it out. It is what they do. And that's why I like going to these conferences. I like going out and meeting people, folks. So today we're going to talk to a couple of people about the Teamsters Hispanic Caucus. Also going to talk to the Teamsters General President James Hoffa. And then from the AFSCME conference, we're going to talk with Dave Philman, the Executive Director of AFSCME Council 13. And Sue Weldon's going to be here on the program to talk about some of the work that they're doing here in the community. And what was interesting to me, in all of the folks that I had the chance to talk to, they all talk about their community service. They all talk about what they do and how they're involved in all the things in their community. And that, I don't think, gets enough recognition. And I don't think we hear enough about that. I just today told the story of, when Walmart sent $8 million worth of water down to New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. And then they spent like $18 million promoting the fact that they spent $8 million. That really is a foreign concept to most union people. Completely foreign idea. They'd go, well, why didn't you just take the $18 million and bring $26 million worth of water down? And don't worry about getting credit for it. Well, that's corporate America. That's the PR world. And I think my union brothers and sisters, they forget that a lot of it is the PR game, because right now they're being demonized at every turn. They're being demonized as the ones who destroyed the auto industry because they wanted health care and they wanted decent wages to raise their families. They're being demonized now because teachers still have pensions. They're being demonized because construction workers want to earn a decent living that will maintain a local trade. All of this demonization and all of this finger pointing, not good, not helpful, not good for society, not good for working people, not good for democracy. Because what it's done is it's torn us apart. And what unions have done historically is pull people together, organize folks together to do for the better things. And it's really interesting to me that you've got, the unions on one side trying to make people's lives better, and corporate America and their Republican Party and some Democratic Party lackeys wanting to make it worse. Isn't that strange to you? Don't you? And I guess what I don't get is why anyone would vote for one of these people. The big topic of conversation, though, was Scott Wagner here in Pennsylvania, because I think everyone realizes he's got higher aspirations. I think everyone realizes that Dick Yingling's probably going to fund any campaign that he runs, and it's going to be all about him. And over the next year, 2, 3, we need to be paying attention to what this guy's doing, because he's dangerous. This guy's really very dangerous for all working people. And you could say, well, he's just going after those union people. Well, what happens to them ripples down to the rest of you. And I'll give you an example. When Iowa did away with their prevailing wage law, and we've seen this replicated a couple of times, but Iowa is the place that's most studied. They did away with the prevailing wage law, and the local construction industry basically crumbled. All of those guys who used to be doing those prevailing wage jobs saw their wages cut. And they said, well, you know what? I'm going to go into business for myself because I can make a little bit more money than what I'm making here. And I'll have a better schedule and all of that stuff. So they went down, they took the jobs of the people who were doing residential construction, who couldn't compete with the higher skill level of these folks. And they ended up seeing a huge pay cut as well. And you ended up losing them as well. And what ended up happening is you had this competition race to the bottom, which I guess you could argue is good for consumers, but ultimately not good for the industry, which led to most of the folks getting out of it. This is the kind of race to the bottom mentality that the Wagners and the Walkers and the rest of them and the right wing want to see. And I ask you, is it the right way to go? Is this the direction that we want to follow? I don't think so. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk to David Philman, Executive Director of AFSCME Council 13. We recorded the interview on Saturday at their convention, so I'm sure he'll respond once to It's the Weekend. But I thought it was well worth talking to Dave about that. Quick break, right back. Stick around. You're listening to The Rick Smith Show. We're working people. Come to talk.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
The Rick Smith Show.
I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2. You have probably heard about the Red Scare, when thousands of people lost their jobs in the 1950s for allegedly harboring communist sympathies. But have you ever heard of the Lavender Scare that happened during those same years? Thousands of LGBT people lost their jobs due to discrimination. And on this day in labor history, the year was 1953. President Dwight David Eisenhower issued Executive Order 10450. The order declared that federal employees at all levels of government needed to be reliable, trustworthy, of good conduct and character, and of complete and unswerving loyalty to the United States. Later, the order listed reasons federal employees could be fired, including any criminal, infamous, dishonest, immoral, or notoriously disgraceful conduct, habitual use of intoxicants to excess, drug addiction, sexual perversion. That last item was widely understood as a euphemism for gay or lesbian activity. Major newspapers of the day often used the word perversion to refer to homosexuality. The argument was made that homosexual people were a potential threat to national security because foreign agents could blackmail them for information by threatening to reveal their sexual preferences. More than 1,400 federal employees lost their jobs within the first 4 months after President Eisenhower signed the executive order. This anti-homosexual discrimination extended beyond the federal government. Industries that relied on government contracts took the order as a cue to conduct similar purges. In 1957, World War II veteran and astronomer Dr. Frank Kameny was fired from the Army Map Service for being gay. After his firing, Dr. Kameny dedicated his life to leading the fight to end LGBT discrimination. Labor History in 2 brought to you by the Illinois Labor History Society and The Rick Smith Show. For more information, go to laborhistoryin2.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on the Twitters at Labor History in 2.
This is the Media Matters Minute. I'm John Kerr. On Fox News' The O'Reilly Factor, host Bill O'Reilly pushed previously debunked and misleading claims about taxes under the Obama administration.
Since taking office, President Obama has proposed a whopping 442 tax increases, not counting 20 others associated with Obamacare. In fact, the USA has the highest tax rate on business in the world. How much more can the government take from the affluent without crashing the entire free market economy?
But this claim was already rated mostly false by PolitiFact in 2014. O'Reilly is parroting an old argument from Americans for Tax Reform, Grover Norquist's conservative anti-tax group. According to PolitiFact, Americans for Tax Reform, quote, overstated the total number by a significant amount. What's more, ATR did not account for nearly $220 billion in tax cuts from the federal stimulus. For more on this and other stories, please visit MediaMatters.org. This is the Media Matters Minute. I'm John Kerr. On Fox News' The O'Reilly Factor, host Bill O'Reilly pushed previously debunked and misleading claims about taxes under the Obama administration.
Since taking office, President Obama...
Chances are, when you took a shower this morning, an AFSCME member made sure that water was clean. When you drove to work, an AFSCME member maintained the road. When you rode an elevator, an AFSCME member inspected it. I'm David Philman, Executive Director of AFSCME Council 13, the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees. AFSCME members enforce regulations, keep prisoners behind bars, take care of patients, protect the environment, and more. The work isn't glamorous, the salaries aren't high, but AFSCME members serve the public in every aspect of our daily lives. Chances are, you'll never see that AFSCME member working in a sewage plant, diving underwater to repair a bridge, or answering a 911 call. But aren't you glad they do? For more information, visit AFSCME13.org. We are AFSCME.
We make Pennsylvania happen!
We
Raising the flag of freedom for people, not corporations. Rick Smith.
Welcome back to the Rick Smith Show. Check out the website, thericksmithshow.com. Questions, comments, something on your mind, you can email me, Rick, at thericksmithshow.com. Spending a little time here in Hershey at AFSCME Council 13's convention. I've got their executive director, David Philman, sitting here with me. Dave, thanks for taking time for us.
Rick, always a pleasure to bring you up to date on what's happening in the AFSCME world.
And appreciate you bringing us out to the convention. Always have a great time here.
We have great delegates. We'll have over 500 delegates here with their guests and staff. We'll be serving dinner for about 1,000 folks tomorrow night. So, and we have some entertainment tonight also. But more importantly, we have the business of the convention, 16 resolutions to pass. Obviously, with the work that's cut out not only in Pennsylvania but across the United States to get the delegates more involved and also have a position on a lot of the issues.
And there's an awful lot going on. I mean, I look at what's going on in the state Senate with the Senator Scott Wagner and all of the anti-labor attacks that we saw across the country for the last several years. Now they're here. Fortunately, we've got a sane governor, but they're still here.
Yeah, exactly right. And it just amazes us what they come up from day to day. I mean, their latest is to have the negotiations for not only state employees but other public entities in the public. I don't know what that means. Does anybody can walk in and say what they want to say? They also want to post 2 weeks in advance in the newspaper what these contracts are, and also make sure they're cost out ahead of time before they're signed. So the concern, the problem is it's just poking us in the eye again. Doesn't save any money, doesn't do anything. The governor, for the state contracts, the governor is the chief negotiator, always has been.
Right.
The legislature is there to obviously deal with his budget. But the problem I see also how political is, they didn't do this when Corbett was the governor. It's just because Wolf, they just don't want to cooperate with him. And they're just trying to poke him in the eye as they're poking us in the eye. To get some revenge out of whatever. So hopefully it won't pass. If it does pass, hopefully the governor has a nice big veto pen. So he's got a lot of stuff coming up. That's right. For sure.
Yeah, but I look at this and on its face, I've had a lot of people say, well, it makes sense. We should be able to see what's going on. It's kind of the sausage making argument. We should be able to see what's going on. And there is transparency in this. I mean, the governor is doing this. There's a staff of people that are negotiating this stuff, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're doing nothing differently. And I guess the ironic part of the entire thing is with this bill, they wouldn't even agree to a public hearing on the bill, which would make it transparent. Listen to what people have to say. They want to do it all in closed doors. Their caucuses are behind closed doors. That's not public. And again, the governor has the ability and the right and the authority to do what he's got to do within the confines of the budget. There's no doubt about it. And our contract right now, Rick, as you know, is posted on our website.
Right.
As soon as we got the thing signed, we post it up there. We're not hiding anything. People can go see how our wages are, what our benefits are. Everything's in the open. So this issue of secrecy in our world has never really existed, other than the fact that we have a negotiating process, which, again, the legislature, they negotiate with vendors, they negotiate with whatever. That's not in the public either.
Yeah, I look at Scott Wagner kind of because he's the catalyst of most of this stuff. And I look at the contracts and the things that he's done. I don't know that all of that is up above boards either. I mean, here's a guy who's probably the wealthiest public servant of all, the trash man, picking up our trash that we used to do for ourselves. I don't know why we needed him.
And you can't just go out and get anybody. I mean, they've got a lock. They got a monopoly on it. His bills are taken care of by the township taxpayer resources, again, which he says we do with the dues deduction. There's probably more cost and time involved with his billing process than our entire dues structure for every union member in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So again, yes, the irony is there. The hypocrisy, the irony, you name it. He's the one pushing this. And the only purpose is just to make it uncomfortable for us and possibly the governor too.
Yeah, now I understand that you guys have come to some type of an agreement with the governor, and that's a good thing. I mean, anything? I guess you said it's on the website.
No, this what we're doing right now is we reached a tentative agreement with my smaller group, which is a negotiating committee. Then the last Friday, it was called my policy committee. About 200 some people unanimously agreed to send it out to the field. And we have 200 plus locals that will now vote on it. So every member has a chance to vote on it. Again, it's going to be out in the open. I'm going to post the results of every local's results.
Come on, there's got to be some nefarious things going on.
Not at all. It's all on the up and up. But so far we've had a couple of numbers come in. It's a 1-year contract. I don't want to go into specifics because I want the members to see it first before they hear it. Not only with you, but with the newspapers. They'll hear it. They'll vote on it. But some of the numbers that have coming in right now are pretty good, too. So, and, this governor, to his credit, has said that, we don't have a spending problem in Pennsylvania. We got a revenue problem. And his creative ways of doing the corporate net income tax, the property tax, modernizing the state stores to get money for some of the pension plans, all those things he's trying to do is really what we've been waiting for. And I've been up here for 13 years. It's a refreshing piece, but of course he's in the crosshairs of the Republicans that this ain't going to happen. And I think he's really got him over a barrel because I think he touched on, especially the corporate net income tax, when he's going to drop that in half. They've been pushing that for a long time. Right. Now here's a governor that's going to take it for them. And they're still beating them up on it.
It's like a lot of the issues, though, Dave. You give them what they want, and they don't want it because it's not enough.
That's exactly right.
And, you go back to Obamacare. Obamacare was the Heritage Foundation's plan to Hillary Care back in the 90s, yet it's not enough.
Exactly. And we're still fighting that. We fought, but, he wants to put the basic education, higher education back on the table, get the money back in there. He's really thinking, as a guy that's a millionaire, he's really thinking about the folks that are, maybe on the working class, lower working class, whatever that may be. And to his credit, I thank him for being there and doing what he's doing because he's doing the right thing.
Yeah, I've had conversations with a number of state reps. They seem to think this budget's going to get done on time. I'm curious your thoughts.
Well, that should be interesting. I mean, I've been seeing a lot of progress so far. They have been throwing bombs at him with his property tax. Leader Scarnati has come up with another pension scheme, which goes back to what Corbett talked about. Let's mess with the benefits of current employees, which we know under the Constitution of Pennsylvania is prohibitive, but they want to, go under that third rail and try to do that. All these things that just don't make a heck of a lot of sense, nor do they have a lot of support. I just heard a poll from about Governor Wolf down in the city of Philadelphia that did, and his numbers were phenomenal. Because he's doing the right thing for the working class of Pennsylvania. And that's what we're all about. So we join with him and applaud him for all the effort he's putting into it. And hopefully the budget's on time and he's successful in his efforts.
That's the hope. But do you think at some point that the Republicans or the fringe of the party, that they're going to pay a consequence for bringing up the same failed things that didn't get passed during the Corbett years, the privatization of the liquor stores, the attack on public sector workers, the attack on teachers and education? Do you think that's going to come back at some point to bite them in the behind?
I think so. There's a fervor out there, but you're seeing the public. I mean, they're supporting the minimum wage increases, which was something the Republicans didn't want to hear about. I think there is an issue, especially when they keep going further and further on the right. And you're right, Senator Wagner is taking this, but he's almost to the point where he's bullying his own caucus. If you don't agree with me, I'm going to push you out, just like I pushed out Pileggi as the leader.
Right.
And now some of the folks in his caucus are scared of him because he's going to put his money into some races against them in the primaries. So there's a mess in that caucus going on, but there are a lot of people that are really getting sick and tired of it. That he's bullying his way. He's been there, a year or so? And he's trying to set the agenda for these guys and gals that really doesn't what the public wants.
But remember, he's got a baseball bat.
He's got a baseball bat, and he's got tons of money. And hopefully they won't cower in front of him and just see through him that he's just a rich bully. And that's what he wants to do. And he wants to get his way every time. And part of it is pushing us out of the way.
So let's bring this back to the convention. Obviously, you got a lot of work here to do. What are you hoping comes out of this as folks go home at the end of it? What are you hoping comes out of it?
Well, part of it right now in the last 2.5 days, my staff 60, we'll call them VMOs, volunteer members. They're just members. They don't work full time for us. They were in intensive training from our international. It's the largest one they had. It's called AFSCME Strong. And the whole concept is we're concerned about, and I know you talked about the California Federation of Teachers suit case, as well as the Abood. Should we lose fair share? We are prepared now, even before any decisions negatively come out. We're prepared now to have hundreds and hundreds of people going out to the fair share folks, knocking on their doors, telling them the horror stories that are going on. And unfortunately, they're true stories. How we're as public sector workers, especially, that we're in the crosshairs out there. And really, we need them on board to be members because the more resources we have to fight the Koch brothers and the Wagners of the world who have tons of money coming out of their pockets, they need to be helped too. Actually, in Illinois, that new governor had stopped the fair share fee,
Right.
but one of the locals, this is one of many, actually got 100% membership. They had some fair share people because the fair share people think, hey, if he's going to go after you, next thing he's going after me. So I might as well be with these guys because they're helping me out. He certainly isn't.
Yeah, because I would argue this is a great organizing opportunity.
Absolutely.
Because, in fact, the Corbett years are a great organizing opportunity to go, look what could happen if we're not strong, if they do destroy our union.
Yeah, and it's a national trend. I mean, this goofiness that's coming out. Kentucky with county to county work, not right to work position sites.
My favorite one in Kentucky is that one of the counties that voted for right to work has no union members in the county.
Oh, is that right?
There's nothing.
I didn't
So they
know that.
voted for something that affects no one.
And again, Rick, let's go back to most of the far right's agenda absolutely fixes nothing at all, doesn't create new jobs, doesn't bring money into the counties, doesn't do it. We saw what happened in Kansas with the governor there that cut the taxes on the rich people. Now they're going down the tubes. They're not creating any jobs. Now they're cutting back all kinds of stuff. Illinois is the same way.
Yeah.
The governor there is not going to raise any taxes, not going to get any new revenues. Now they got to cut programs again. I think this thing is going to start coming back. The people are starting shaking their head is, why did we put these people in there in the first place?
Yeah, people are going to start feeling that pain and eventually go, wait a second, this isn't it.
Exactly.
We've got to change our mind. Well, Dave, I appreciate you having us come out to your convention. It's always great to be here seeing your members. I appreciate you taking time for us.
And I hope you chat with a lot of them. You got the greatest leaders, I think, in Pennsylvania walking around these halls. So enjoy yourself.
Thanks so much, Dave.
All right.
David Philman, Executive Director of AFSCME Council 13. Quick break. Right back. Stick around. You listen to The Rick Smith Show. We're working people. Come to talk.
And I go to work at night. I got no time for living, yes, I'm working all the time. It seems to me I could live my life a lot better than I think I am. I guess that's why they call me the working man.
Making the blue blood see red. The Rick Smith Show.
Working.
VP's contingency plans were inadequate.
They were screaming, fire, fire, fire. This is not a drill.
There's no one who wants this thing over more than I do. I'd like my life back.
The BP oil disaster in the Gulf of Mexico 5 years later.
Today, there's no greater threat to our planet than climate change.
As Earth Day comes and goes, President Obama pushes once again for climate action. January to March 2015, the hottest ever recorded. Plus,
we need to work with the rest of the world to negotiate a way to reduce carbon emissions.
Jeb Bush thinks climate change might actually be a thing.
Wait, what? All of that and more straight ahead from BradBlog.com. I'm Brad Friedman.
And I'm Desi Doyen.
Stand by for 6 minutes of independent green news, politics, analysis, and snarky comment.
Climate change can no longer be denied or ignored.
Oh, Mr. President, you continue to misunderestimate the American people. This is your Green News Report. Okay, Desi Doyen, with Earth Day upon us once again, we need to remind everyone it's always Earth Day here at the Green News Report, at least for you.
Yes, I think it's a great idea, though, to remind everybody else that it's nice to celebrate the only